So I sent you an email
Yes.
about my idea for an ending. I've been in kind of a whirlwind now that, in a sense, I feel like the rug has been swept out from under me, and the stuff that I was counting on being our story is no longer the case. Now that's our history. So now we have to come up with the where are they now aspect. And yes, up in the stakes, like, he can't just poison a dog. That's not what this is anymore.
Right.
So I kind of am a little lost in knowing what's exactly going to happen. But my kind of idea is to have, if Max Cady at the end was to go on a rampage and start publicly shooting people somewhere. He's killing time, pretty much. If I was going to, this is a little rough, but if I was, there's no desire of mine to do this, but if I was ever going to commit suicide, and how I would probably want to do it, my ideal situation if I were at that level, is to get several police officers to chase me. That would be very, very easy. It's just don't stop for the first one that tries to pull me over. That's it. And then keep going. And then I would, once I have them, enough of them with me, I would pull my car over at some random, like in the middle of the road, and get out raging with an airsoft gun with no orange tip, threatening like I'm going to shoot them to have them down me.
Suicide by cop.
Which Max Cady could totally do because, and like we don't, this may have already happened in the world that we're creating, but if Sam were to hire 3 thugs to go get Max.
I think that's something that we save for, pick some of those iconic things.
We can't just be like, that's happened. We can't. Okay, so that helps clear things up. But if Max were to beat those guys and then himself up and go into the hospital to make Sam look bad, he would go further than that if he really wanted to die. If he just
so there is an active death wish that takes hold of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can't stop somebody with a death wish.
No, that's the scariest thing. Your description of just the beats of this kind of finale, and how ultimately the ongoing struggle between Max and Sam comes to a head in the midst of something so much bigger. I really like that, because that way you make this approach unique in its cold, calculated, drawn out, as opposed to the perhaps even immature younger antics. Like maybe Katie's evolved in such a way that he looks back on that just attack at the house is just like, I just wasn't thinking, I wasn't playing to my strengths. That was just like my problem was that I didn't take my time, like that kind of thing.
Totally. I can just see him at the doorstep just apologizing to Sam and then getting really aggressive in his apology. Like there's subtext that starts coming through his words that are unrelated.
And a brief interaction with Sam's dog while he's there. Perhaps just the briefest acknowledgement of like, oh, you have a dog.
something I had in mind for that was along the same vein if Max was to fuck up his own dog.
Mm.
I could see Max Kitty sacrificing his own dog to get the upper hand, get the goal.
This dog could go one of a few different ways. It could serve as just a puzzlement for the audience, and just, it's like, it could be as simple as just a quirk that, like, the villain from James Bond who keeps that white cat, it's like, he's blowing up half the world, launching all these nuclear missiles, but he's all about that cat,
Yeah.
and don't touch that cat. In fact, animals is actually pretty frequent in film. Buffalo Bill, Silence of the Lambs, don't touch my dog. So you could go that route with the dog and just have it be a quirk, almost like a dark sort of punchline to just look at all the shit he's doing. But he loves this dog.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
That would be the simple route. What you're saying now is the informing the character kind of route, that it shows the lengths that he's willing to go to exact his revenge.
Yeah.
Um,
I need to decide exactly who Max Kitty is.
so that was the other thing about the finale, is on the list of things to keep intact from the source material, I would still like Sam's family to be at the heart of the finale. You're at a level, like, I will say this for just our writings comparatively, you have a level of subtext and nuance that is just a step above my own. Like, I hesitate to call it full indie. But you have the full indie in your writing.
No doubt.
And I'm at like half indie. I have moments that are like, I could see A24 doing this moment.
Yeah.
In the next moment, it's like, is this a Spielberg movie? I think this is a Spielberg movie. I'm sure this is not the only time. This is probably the first of several that I will be making discoveries after the fact.
And your strengths lie elsewhere, which I just can't stop saying enough. I think that's great. I think it's a great blend. At first, I had it in my mind like, you'll handle this and then I'll be good at dialogue or whatever, but it's turning out to be just strong writing from both. I just think it's different style, I think. You said you struggled with action lines, but you actually seem to be pretty they're full. Like, they're full lines. I'm actually a lot more vague than you, or to the point. I'm very to the point.
I would like to be more to the point. Mm-hmm. I would love to trim up action line. That's the thing. I was just gonna, as far as the only comment that I didn't make about my pages was just that the connection from your comment last week about elevator, and just like Sam's elevator music kind of moment juxtaposed with Katie's 100 miles an hour. I mean, I'll plan on just moving forward with Sam. If you want to move forward with Katie, what are you thinking as far going into next week's?
If you have other ideas,
If you want to get Sam to that knock knock knock, I will get Katie there too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we iron out the separate timelines and then kind of splice them together once we have everything.
Yeah.
I am curious at what stage we incorporate Dani. Like how far into this, do we let these two ride alongside each other and then collide, and that's when we introduce her? Is she brought in as a result of Katie's collision with Sam?
During their scuffle, it could be her screaming "Daddy" that causes Sam to look and hesitate.
That was an idea. Yes. That was my first idea, and then I wanted, okay, she could scream, distract him, but then I went like, what if we go like full twist and just that, like, he turns around and she saw the whole thing. He didn't even know she was there, didn't even know she was present. I was torn between those two ideas and went with the latter, but I certainly would entertain the first as well.
You don't have the gun involved in the escape this time around.
involved in the escape.
Does he hesitate with the gun in that scene?
He
Because I thought that this time around I got something totally different from the first time around, and maybe that was just me, but I thought
it was no, it's very much different. The moment is still there. It's when his hands are shaking. And for me, it was when Katie feels that the gun is shaking against his neck is when he goes, all right, we're like this close. He thinks I'm, down for the count. But it's Sam's first thing is go to the barn, because it's almost just like this, like a farmer like solution for something. Like, we're not going to do it here in the front yard, go to the barn, because that's just the first thing that he thinks of.
right.
But at the same time, it's like him stalling, I think.
Yeah.
And Katie picks up on that,
Uh-huh.
and that's when he intervenes.
Yeah.
Is when he knows for sure that when he's confident enough that Sam's not going to pull the trigger
Yeah.
on it.